أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, I'm happy today to be speaking about the Western Cape Shura Council, its history and what it intends to achieve, inshallah ta'ala. The Western Cape Shura Council is an organization that is born from the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, which was established in the late 90s, around 1997, 1998, where the Muslims of the townships of Cape Town came together to try and create a future for Islam within their communities. And that was by means of the various townships coming together and electing a leadership that will, inshallah ta'ala, by Allah's help, and will move Islam forward to the next level. Islam in the Western Cape, or in the Cape Town townships, is traced back to the early 60s, with the coming to Islam of the likes of Imam Dawood Lobi, Hassan Gila, Ali Mwiki, and many others who embraced Islam through the guidance of Imam Abdullah Harun. This generation of Muslims, as we would understand, lived through very, very trying and difficult times, as that they were also at the height of the resistance against apartheid, and indeed Islam at the time was a very, very strange and foreign religion, and there were few Muslims in the townships. You could actually count them on your fingertips. But alhamdulillah, we know that there were great efforts done by Imam Abdullah Harun, especially in the areas of Nyanga East, where a great number of Muslims is recorded there around the late 60s. And there we find the rising of Imam Shamil Kula, was the Imam there at the time, and who, as we understand, was a student of Imam Abdullah Harun. We fast forward and we go to the 80s, and there you will see a rising of youth within the townships who became Muslims, and a few amongst them went to study in places like Kuwait, in places like Pakistan, and they came back in the late 80s to begin the work of da'wah within the townships. But they still found themselves in very difficult circumstances, as there were not enough good support from the Muslim communities outside the townships, and so they faced challenging times even when it came to their own livelihood as students. We fast forward in time and we go into the early 80s and 90s. This is where people like ourselves and others went to study in places like Strand under Maulana Yusuf Karan, and some of us went to study Hifz under the guidance of Mr. Sulaiman Bayat at the time, who was very active as a da'iyah within the Western Cape or the Cape Town townships. In the late 90s, or in the early 90s rather, a few of us again went to study overseas abroad in Saudi Arabia, and when we completed and graduated in the late 90s, we motivated that an organization we started that would take care of Islam as a unit, because before that we did not find a body that was united across the townships in advancing the cause of Islam. And this then gave birth to Ikhwan al-Muslimin that alhamdulillah did very, very good activities of uniting Muslims by holding dhikr sessions, by holding workshops, and so on and so forth. And at this particular time, we can talk about the coming in within our townships of the Murabitun, which also motivated a great deal of Islam within our communities, and gave indeed very active participation of Muslims within our communities. After Ikhwan al-Muslimin, we in the late 90s, early 2000s came together once more and decided to change the name Ikhwan al-Muslimin to Masakane Muslim Community. And this word Masakane, as we know, is a word that means let's build each other. And this was the intention of the organization. And once more, elections was held in Kuala at the time, and a committee was elected. And from there, alhamdulillah, a few madaris were established in the various areas of the townships. And at this particular time, we want to recall the coming in of Dr. Abdullah Hakim Quick, who was very much instrumental in assisting us with funding for our programs and activities. Masakane Muslim Community did alhamdulillah good work for a period of over 10 years, and for some reason the programs and activities became stagnant. It is then that we once more came together in 2016 to change the name of Masakane Muslim Community, and then we became the Western Cape Shura Council. From 2016, alhamdulillah, we had done a great deal of activity. We had managed to bring together madaris on various programs. We managed, alhamdulillah, to form a youth department which became very, very active in youth programs, activities, in youth camps, and alhamdulillah, a leadership amongst the youth emanated from those programs. We also had a very, very strong and active women's wing, alhamdulillah, which also brought together women and sisters from various townships who at many times were alienated and were the only Muslims within their communities, but through sisterhood, as they call it, they alhamdulillah found a home, they found warmth within Islam, and they found supporters that made it easy for them to identify themselves as Muslims and to act in their communities as Muslims. Alhamdulillah, we are now in 2020, and alhamdulillah, we have been active very, very much as the Western Cape Shura Council in a series of activities and programs. And the idea and the vision behind from the days of Ikhwan al-Muslimin to Masakane to now the Western Cape Shura Council is to unite the voice of the black Muslim within the townships, is to unite in our programs, is to have a united vision for ourselves, and to inshallah ta'ala be able to create a vibrant and active community that positively participates within its own communities and areas. And so alhamdulillah, we have seen how our programs have once more brought about activity within our townships, where Islam became more visible in our communities, and the Muslim youth, the women and the men also started finding pride within their deen and finding the identity of Islam much easier, because now a group of people came together, and alhamdulillah, we have had dawah programs, or dawah outreach as we call it, where we took the message of Islam far and wide to our taxi ranks, to our malls, and so on and so forth. And inshallah ta'ala, the future is for us to continue to empower and develop our communities, to be able to be active within their community as proud Muslims, inshallah ta'ala.